All right, let's get back to it.
All right, everyone, let's settle in. We're diving back into Emily Nagoski's Come As You Are.
And I am so ready. I feel like I'm finally getting my software update in order.
Just don't let the update crash the whole system, Em. I'm still dealing with my skin shedding like a literal snake over here.
Can we please focus? Some of us are trying to maintain a shred of dignity.
Right. So, today we're looking at a really crucial distinction Nagoski makes. She's talking about how we treat ourselves when things go even wrong. She starts by saying, self-compassion is emphatically not self-esteem.
That's such a huge distinction. Because, I used to think being good at loving myself meant having high self-esteem. Like, look how great my yoga practice is.
But he's saying self-esteem is about evaluation. It's contingent on success or how you compare to others. It's that ranking system. Which honestly is exhausting.
Yeah. It's like being a judge in a talent show where you're also the contestant. You're always waiting for the score.
Exactly. But she says self-compassion is unconditional and non-evaluative. It's there when you're winning, and it's there when you're failing.
Which is a relief, because if I had to maintain high self-esteem every time I sprained my ankle like I did this morning, I'd be in a constant state of crisis.
Right? But then she brings up this other thing, self-indulgence. And she's being kind of blunt here. She says self-indulgence is what you do to numb emotional pain instead of actually letting the cycle complete.
Okay, wait. She's calling us out.
She's totally calling us out. She uses the example of binge watching Netflix or eating a pint of Ben and Chuck. I mean, Ben and Jerry's, just to feel instead of actually feeling the feelings.
She calls it a form of freeze, like you're sedating the lion instead of dealing with it.
That's actually a pretty heavy metaphor. Sedating the lion.
It is, but she notes that sometimes you do need to take a break. The key is to not let the sedated lion wake up and maul you later. The cycle has to finish.
Which leads perfectly into this exercise she shares. It's so simple, but honestly, it's kind of heartbreaking when you think about it.
Which one? The one where you write to yourself?
Yeah. You take a situation where you're beating yourself up, maybe about your body or your sex life, or even just a work mistake, and you write down all those nasty, critical thoughts.
And then, and this is the software patch, you write the name of a good friend at the top, and you imagine they are the ones telling you this problem, and you write what you would tell them.
I'd probably tell them to shut up and get some sleep.
But you're supposed to be in your best, most empathic, calmest state.
And the shorthand version is, never say anything to yourself that you wouldn't want to say to your best friend or your daughter.
Man, if I said the stuff I say to myself when I'm looking in the mirror, I'd be a terrible person.
But wait, it gets even more intense. She tells this story about a woman named Olivia. It's a perfect example of the accelerator and brakes we've been talking about.
Right. Olivia's in the middle of finals week, super stressed, and she tries to initiate sex. Her partner, Patrick, says he's too tired.
Classic.
And instead of just, okay, no big deal, this self-doubt flooded through Olivia like a fast-rising river. She starts spiraling. She's asking herself, what if I'm just trying to control people with my sexuality? What if I'm actually a bully?
That is dark. That is heavy-duty shame right there.
It's the cultural brainwashing she mentions. Patrick actually has to turn the light on and tell her, you're holding your breath. He points out that her anxious brain believes all that women who like sex are evil stuff that society feeds us.
It's like her stress triggered a total system override. When she's relaxed, she's confident. When she's stressed, she becomes her own worst enemy.
And she says it's like trying to douse a fire by pouring gasoline on it.
Exactly. The solution she proposes is just to stop adding fuel. Notice you're doing it and let the fire burn itself out.
So don't fight the fire, just stop feeding it. That's actually surprisingly practical.
But then she moves into the physical part of the update. This part actually made me a little nervous to read. She suggests looking at your entire body in a mirror and making a list of everything you like.
Oof. That sounds like a nightmare for anyone with a bit of a critical inner voice.
It is. She admits the brain will immediately fill with criticism and disgust. She uses this term from psychologist Christopher Germer called backdraft.
Like when you open a door to a burning building and the fresh oxygen makes the flames explode outward.
Yes, it hurts. It's like your hands aching when you come in from the cold. You have to allow the hurt to go through the process.
It sounds exhausting.
It is, but then she connects this to the media nutrition part of the book. This is where she gets really tactical.
This is my favorite part. She talks about a study in Fiji. Before American TV arrived, there was a preference for robust forms. But after years of watching 91021 and Melrose Place, eating disorders among teen girls skyrocketed.
From 13% to 29%? That's massive.
It's a direct hit to the culture. And her advice is basically, if a food makes you sick, stop eating it. If media makes you feel worse about your body, stop looking at it.
Stop watering the weeds. I love that.
It's basically saying, vote with your eyeballs and your cash.
Exactly. You don't have to write a letter to the editor. Just stop consuming the stuff that triggers your brakes.
So, no more doom scrolling through thirst traps that make me feel like a potato?
Precisely.
It's about creating an environment where the accelerator can actually function without being overridden by a constant flood of shame.
Well, I'm going to go practice not looking at my ankle in the much mirror.
We'll see you next time. So, we've been talking about the brakes and the accelerator. And now, Nagoski moves into what I think is a software patch for the brain. She basically says we are living in a state of constant conflicting data.
Yeah. She calls them the three messages: the moral message, the medical message, and the media message.
Which is basically just a fancy way of saying everyone is lying to you in a different way.
Well, maybe not lying, but definitely contradicting. She says they're layered over each other, so you're never just hearing one. You've got your faith community telling you one thing, the media telling you another, and your doctor. Well, your doctor might be doing their own thing entirely.
And that's exactly where the confusion starts. You can't build a stable identity if the foundation is just a pile of contradictory instructions.
Right. And here is her big provocative claim. She says, the answer is yourself.
I love that. She's basically telling us to develop a bullshit detector. She says to listen to your inner voice because deep down, it will sound an alarm when it notices the nonsense.
It's like when you're listening to a new record and you can tell within 10 seconds if the production is trash. You don't need an expert to tell you. You feel it.
Exactly. But, and here's the part where she gets really interesting, she admits that informational cherry picking is usually considered a bad thing in science or ethics. She says you can't just pick and choose facts to build a logical theory.
But she's not talking about science. She's talking about you.
Precisely. She says, when it comes to investigating and understanding your own individual sexuality, please do cherry pick.
That is so liberating. She's saying you don't need to buy into the whole system. You don't need to believe in hell to decide that waiting for marriage is right for you, and you don't need to believe you're broken just to want to try new toys or different partners.
It's like a buffet. You don't have to eat the whole tray of beets just because they're there.
Yes, she literally uses a salad bar metaphor. Take only the things that appeal to lubricate you. Take only the things that appeal to you and ignore the rest.
It's a powerful way to reclaim agency. But she adds this warning. It only goes wrong when you try to apply your plate to someone else. Like, she shouldn't eat those beets. Beets are disgusting.
Hey, I like beets. Don't judge my plate.
But she moves into something much darker here. She talks about a woman named Lori, and this brings us back to that wall we discussed earlier.
Right, Lori was experiencing massive body shame. And Nagoski says the shame wasn't just about how her body looked, but about what those changes meant about her as a person. She had built this emotional wall to hide the parts of herself she felt ashamed of.
And the tragedy is that wall was also blocking out the love she was starving for.
A wall is a wall. A wall is an indiscriminate barrier. If you block out the shame, you block out the jame.
It's a heavy realization. But then, she pivots to something much more empowering. She says, no girl is born hating her body. You learned that. You learned that you worried about judgment.
Which means we can unlearn it.
Exactly. She uses this beautiful metaphor of a garden. She says, no matter what was planted in your garden, you are the gardener.
Oh, wow. That is stunning.
You didn't choose the plot of land. You didn't choose your biology, your breaks, or your family. But you do choose what stays and what goes. You get to prune what's dead and pull the weeds.
That's a massive shift in perspective. From being a victim of your wiring to being the one in charge of the landscape.
It's a lot of responsibility, but I guess it's the only way to actually grow.
And then, before we wrap up this section, she hits us with a too long didn't read, a summary for the exhausted brain. She reiterates, weight does not predict health. Self-criticism is a brake, and most importantly, sexual disgust hits the brakes. And sexual disgust is learned, not innate, and can be unlearned.
Wait, so the yuck factor isn't just who we are? We can actually deconstruct it?
That's the whole point. The yuck is a learned response, and if you can identify where it's interfering with your pleasure, you can start to dismantle it.
Well, I suppose I have some weeding to do in my own garden.
We all do, Jane. We all do. Let's take a breather before we get too deep into the weeds.
My brain needs a moment to process that heavy lifting.